Welcome to Trending Unpacked, the show where we break down the stories everyone's talking about and explore why they matter. Today, we're stepping onto the runway and, into the world of high fashion. We're going to talk about a name that hasn't just defined elegance for decades, but really continues to shape how we understand style. Giorgio Armani. It's 2025, and yeah, his latest collections are still getting attention, definitely. But the real conversation buzzing around Armani right now isn't just about what's new on the rack. It's deeper. It's about his extraordinary, enduring legacy, and also this fascinating question about the future. The future of this massive empire built by a man who, you won't believe it, turns 91 this year. So this isn't just some fleeting trend. It feels like a really pivotal moment in fashion history we're watching unfold.
Oh, it truly is. Yeah. And this isn't just, standard fashion news, not at all. It's really a profound look at immense cultural impact. It's like a masterclass in business longevity, especially in an industry that's, well, let's face it, notoriously volatile. And it's a study in what it actually means to create and then maintain timeless style. So when we talk about Giorgio Armani right now, in 2025, we're thinking about how one single individual's vision can shape global aesthetics for, half a century? More? And what that legacy means now as the architect himself is, thinking about the future of his life's work. It's huge. It kind of invites us, you included, to look at fashion through a much, much wider lens.
That frames it perfectly, yeah. So let's unpack this journey. It really starts at a very specific point in time, 1975. To try and picture it, the mid-70s. Fashion was often pretty flamboyant, right? Sometimes quite rigid. You had these established houses kind of dictating the terms. And it was against that backdrop that Giorgio Armani, born in Piacenza, northern Italy, back in 1934, he officially founded his own brand, his name on the label. Now, look, Armani wasn't exactly a complete newcomer. He'd spent years honing his craft. He started out as a window dresser, actually, at a department store, then a menswear buyer, and later on, he was a freelance designer for other houses. So these experiences, they gave him this incredible understanding of both the design side and the market side.
Absolutely. He knew the business, and from the very beginning, the Armani vision was, grand, almost audacious, you could say. It kicked off with menswear, which in itself was pretty revolutionary for the time, how he approached it. But then very quickly, almost immediately, it expanded into women's wear, accessories, fragrances, and then into a whole spectrum of, lifestyle ventures. This wasn't just fast growth. It was a real testament to this expansive ambition right from day one. He wasn't just sketching clothes, was he? He was meticulously constructing an entire universe of style.
A universe, that's a good way to put it.
And the real genius here, I think, lies in what it actually took for Armani to become, as the sources say, one of the most recognizable luxury brands globally. And to do it so fast. It wasn't about following the trends, was it? It was about defining a completely new one. Armani's stroke of brilliance really early on was introducing an aesthetic that was just radically different. It was almost understated, yet somehow instantly compelling. At a time when, luxury fashion often meant loads of ornamentation, really stiff tailoring, overt formality, Armani just dared to strip it all away. He championed what became known, famously, as the deconstructed jacket.
Ah, yes, the deconstructed jacket. Iconic.
Totally iconic. He took out the heavy internal padding, the stiff linings, that really rigid structure that was so typical of traditional menswear, especially Italian tailoring then. And this wasn't just a minor design tweak. It was fundamental, a philosophical shift. It offered this incredible sense of ease and comfort, but crucially, without sacrificing an ounce of sophistication or power. It just felt modern, it felt liberating, and it really spoke to a new generation, didn't it? This very distinct vision. It allowed the brand to carve out its own powerful niche. It achieved this incredible recognition, not just for luxury, but for a new, more refined way of living.
And that distinct vision, it really did redefine what modern elegance meant. It created this revolutionary impact on fashion that honestly still resonates today. When you think about the Armani aesthetic, those hallmarks just jump out, don't they? Minimalist, impeccably clean lines, and those incredibly sophisticated, often neutral palettes, the beiges, the grays, navy, black. The famous Grige, he really championed that powerful idea that less is more, but that less was always executed with the most exquisite fabrics and just uncompromising, masterful tailoring. And if you look back specifically at the 1980s, his power suits.
Oh, power suits.
Absolutely iconic. They defined an era, and these weren't just garments, they were profound statements. They became completely synonymous with power, with confidence, sophistication, especially for professional women who were increasingly entering the corporate world back then and quite literally stepping up to challenge the existing norms. Armani essentially gave them this kind of armor, but an armor that was both elegant and authoritative. It allowed them to project strength, without sacrificing their femininity, which is huge.
Yeah, it's really worth digging into why that specific style resonated so deeply and so broadly. during that particular time, the 80s. It was a period of massive societal shifts, wasn't it? Particularly for women. You had more women breaking through glass ceilings, climbing corporate ladders, and they found themselves navigating these professional environments that were, let's be honest, traditionally dominated by men. So they needed clothing that conveyed competence, ambition, confidence, but without just mimicking traditional men's suits, which were often really stiff and unflattering.
Right. They needed their own language of power.
Exactly. And Armani's power suits offered that perfect, really nuanced balance. They projected strength, sure, with the clean lines, the supple shoulder pads, but they still retained this fluid, elegant drape that felt distinctly feminine. It wasn't about, like, flashy ostentation. It was more about a refined, subtle display of wealth and taste, what we might now call, quiet luxury. His designs just perfectly captured the zeitgeist. They reflected and I think genuinely empowered the evolving role of women in the professional sphere.
And the genius didn't just stop in the boardroom, did it? Armani also understood, maybe better than any other designer of his time, the absolutely critical transformative power of Hollywood, those partnerships. He basically became the architect of celebrity image on the red carpet. He dressed countless stars and for their big public appearances. You just have to think of Richard Gere in American Gigolo.
Oh, classic.
It's total classic. That film didn't just launch Gere's career into the stratosphere, it cemented that whole Armani aesthetic of, like, seductive, effortless cool. Or think of Jodie Foster maybe appearing in Armani at the Oscars, radiating that quiet strength. This was way more than just, lending clothes out. It was a deeply symbiotic relationship. And it amplified his brand's global presence exponentially. Every celebrity appearance, every iconic movie moment with his designs, it became this powerful, aspiration-fueled advertisement. It just solidified Armani's association with that aspirational glamour, that sophisticated power, and an almost unattainable level of refined taste.
Yeah.
He wasn't just designing for Hollywood. In a way, he was fundamentally shaping Hollywood's image of itself to the rest of the world.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, that strategic alignment with Hollywood was absolutely visionary, just genius. It leveraged the aspirational power of celebrity in a way few others did, certainly not with such consistency and impact. When a star walked the red carpet or appeared on screen wearing Armani, it wasn't just about the fabric or the cut, was it? It was a statement about their status, their discernment, their connection to a certain, echelon of luxury and power. This strategy allowed the brand to completely transcend mere clothing. It became a symbol of a desirable lifestyle, broadcast to millions and millions around the globe. It really ingrained this idea that Armani was for those who had truly made it. And that reinforced this almost mythical quality around the brand that, frankly, very few others achieved or have maintained for so long.
That mythical quality, that sense of a totally meticulously crafted world. It's only grown over the decades, hasn't it? It paints a picture today of an absolutely vast, modern Armani empire. I mean, truly vast. It stretches so far beyond just the clothes and the fragrances. We are talking about a genuinely comprehensive luxury lifestyle brand. For instance, he diversified, very strategically, into hospitality. You've got the exquisite Armani Hotel Dubai right inside the Burj Khalifa.
Incredible location.
Right. And the equally elegant Armani Hotel Milan. And these aren't just hotels with his name slapped on them. They offer guests this immersive, totally all-encompassing experience of his aesthetic philosophy. Everything from the minimalist decor to the curated dining. Then you've got Armani Casa, his venture into interior design, furniture, where that signature minimalist elegance just translates beautifully into living spaces, collections that are like functional art but also utterly luxurious, and then even in more unexpected areas like sports. He's been involved in designing uniforms for Italian Olympic teams.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah. It just showcases the brand's incredible reach, its influence into almost every single facet of modern life. It's really an extraordinary testament to the power of sticking to a singular, unwavering vision and applying it broadly across so many diverse industries.
Yeah, and the strategic importance of that huge expansion, it just cannot be overstated. It wasn't simply about adding new product lines just to capture more market share. It was fundamentally about solidifying the brand as a holistic luxury lifestyle provider. By extending it to hotels, home goods, even sports, Armani wasn't just selling you a suit or a dress anymore. He was offering you an entire world, a meticulously curated ecosystem built around his core principles: elegance, discretion, sophistication. This means customers could, quite literally, live, sleep, and surround themselves with the Armani aesthetic. And this diversification is absolutely crucial because it significantly strengthens the brand's market position. It makes it much less susceptible to the cyclical, often, frankly, capricious nature of fashion trends. It transforms Armani from just a fashion house into like a permanent fixture in the luxury landscape.
It ensures loyalty by embedding the brand right into the very fabric of affluent living.
And that brings us right back around to why Armani is such a hot topic, such a focal point of discussion now in 2025. This moment feels very much about reflection, doesn't it? A renewed focus on his unparalleled legacy, especially as Giorgio Armani himself approaches the really remarkable age of 91. And that milestone inevitably leads to widespread, pretty intense speculation surrounding, well, business transitions and the critical pressing question of future leadership or even ownership of his vast privately held empire. It's a conversation that's definitely been building for years, hasn't it? And it's captivating the entire industry right now. But, it's not all just about the future speculation. His recent collections are also being specifically praised for striking this very delicate, very masterful balance, honoring the brand's incredibly rich heritage, its core DNA, while still managing to incorporate subtle, intelligent innovation that keeps it feeling fresh, relevant, and, let's face it, utterly desirable.
Exactly. And this moment of reflection is particularly significant for luxury brands, especially those like Armani that have been led by their visionary founders for, decades and decades.
Yeah.
These brands are often so deeply intertwined with the founder's personal philosophy, their aesthetic. The identity of the brand and the identity of the individual become almost inseparable.
Right. He is the brand in many ways.
Pretty much, yes. So the question of succession, therefore, it isn't just a routine business decision like appointing a new CEO or a creative director. It's a profound cultural challenge, a creative challenge, almost an existential one. How do you maintain the very essence, the unique soul of a founder-led brand once the founder isn't at the helm anymore? It forces this fundamental reevaluation of the brand's core values, its history, its narrative, and its potential future direction. And that makes it an incredibly pivotal and very closely watched time. For industry insiders, sure, but also for the wider public who admire the brand.
Yeah, and that's where we see a huge amount of the online chatter, the internet theories really coming into play. People are actively debating Armani's continued relevance, In our rapidly changing fashion landscape, one of the core tensions that you see constantly popping up is between Armani's whole timeless investment piece aesthetic and the modern era of, fast fashion, which often caters to the very distinct, very rapidly evolving tastes of, say, Gen Z consumers. And the debate really kind of boils down to this. Can a brand that's built on enduring elegance, on quality, on designs meant to last for decades, can it genuinely appeal to younger demographics who often seem to prioritize novelty, really rapid trend cycles, affordability, and sometimes almost disposable fashion?
It's a fascinating clash of values, isn't it? A sort of sartorial generation gap playing out.
It is fascinating. What's truly interesting here is how Armani's brand still manages to remain, as the source puts it, a symbol of enduring taste amidst these incredibly fast-changing fashion cycles. The resilience of his brand, it's not an accident. It speaks to something deeper, I think, a fundamental human desire for quality, maybe, for something more permanent. While sure, a segment of Gen Z might be drawn to fast fashion for its accessibility and its newness, there's also this growing counter-movement, isn't there, towards more conscious consumption, an appreciation for investment pieces, for items that last, for a more considered, less wasteful approach to fashion overall.
Definitely see more of that.
Yeah. And Armani, with its inherent focus on craftsmanship, high-quality materials, timeless design, it subtly aligns with that deeper, more sustainable mindset. Even if, it wasn't explicitly marketed that way from the very start, it just is that way. It offers this powerful antidote, really, an alternative to the relentless churn of trends. It provides a sense of gravitas, enduring style. That, I think, can appeal across age groups, especially those seeking authenticity.
And that brings up another really critical contemporary discussion that's resonating online: sustainability and inclusivity in luxury brands. Younger consumers, especially, are increasingly demanding that brands don't just deliver high-quality products, but also unequivocally align with their values: environmental responsibility, social equity, big issues, huge issues. So how might Armani's brand be perceived, or maybe even challenged in this arena, especially given its long history? Or maybe conversely, how does its inherent approach to quality and longevity already speak to aspects of sustainability? I mean, if you invest in an Armani suit or a gown, you expect it to last for decades, right? Not just one season. That's a form of sustainability in itself, isn't it? Buying less, but better.
It raises a really important and frankly complex question for the whole luxury fashion industry, not just Armani. For brands with these long illustrious histories, navigating this modern landscape is a very delicate balancing act. On the one hand, yes, their established commitment to high-quality materials, meticulous craftsmanship, enduring design, that inherently promotes longevity, which is, as you say, a foundational aspect of sustainability: buying less, buying better. Yeah. Absolutely. On the other hand, luxury production can be very resource-intensive. We know that. And modern consumers, quite rightly, demand transparency about supply chains, about ethical labor practices, about concrete steps towards reducing environmental impact beyond just making things that last a long time.
Right, it's more than just durability now.
Exactly. And then for inclusivity, it's about ensuring diverse representation in campaigns, offering broader size ranges, demonstrating real cultural sensitivity. The challenge for Armani, and others like him, is to demonstrate that their core values, which often predate these contemporary discussions, are not only still relevant, but are actively evolving to meet modern ethical considerations. And crucially, without it feeling like an afterthought or, just tokenism, it's about translating that foundational quality into a genuinely contemporary sense of responsibility.
The distinction, the one between timelessness and just relentless trend chasing, that's something you see really celebrated online, particularly among people who admire Armani's steadfast approach. There's this palpable admiration for his almost defiant ability to remain timeless, while so many other designers and brands seem to be constantly chasing the next fleeting trend, often sacrificing their unique identity in the process. The cultural timelessness theory, which was highlighted in our sources, it really encapsulates this perfectly. Armani represents a rare case of consistency in a trend-driven world. That really rings true. He doesn't seem swayed by the latest Instagram micro-trend, does he? He just continues to do what he does best, with this unwavering commitment to his singular vision. It's almost like an act of sartorial stoicism.
It really is.
Yeah.
And if you delve into the psychological reasons, the market reasons, why that consistency is so celebrated, I think you uncover a really deep-seated human desire for stability, for authenticity, in a world that often feels chaotic and, ephemeral. In an environment that's just saturated with fleeting information, rapidly changing stimuli, a brand that remains resolutely true to its identity offers a kind of anchor, a reliable touchstone.
Yeah, something solid.
Exactly. Consumers, particularly in the luxury segment, they're often looking for more than just a product, aren't they? They're seeking an identity, a sense of belonging, an assurance of enduring quality. Armani's unwavering aesthetic, it implies this profound confidence in his own vision and a commitment to delivering that consistently year after year. And this suggests that consumers place immense value on that authenticity, on an established identity. They perceive it as a mark of true luxury, a kind of silent statement of self-possession, rather than a desperate pursuit of novelty. He didn't just design clothes. You could argue he designed trust.
Trust. I like that. And maybe the most pressing speculation, the one that really dominates the online conversations, especially given his age, is the legacy and succession theory. What happens next for the Armani fashion house after Giorgio Armani? It's a monumental question, isn't it? Industry-defining, potentially. Will this fiercely independent empire manage to remain independent, carefully guarded by his founder's vision, maybe through a family trust or some kind of foundation?
That's one possibility.
Or will it eventually be acquired by one of the big luxury conglomerates that seem to be swallowing everything up these days, like LVMH or Kering? It prompts us, and really the entire fashion world, to consider the profound implications of each scenario. For the brand's identity, obviously, for its creative direction, and of course for its huge market presence. The choices made here, whenever they're made, they're going to send ripples through the entire luxury sector. They'll set precedents for other founder-led houses down the line.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where the sheer complexities of luxury brand succession, especially for these founder-led companies, become incredibly clear and deeply personal. Unlike, say, big publicly traded corporations where leadership transitions are often planned years, even decades in advance, these personal empires face this unique, almost existential challenge. Because the founder is the brand. Their personality, their aesthetic, their business acumen, it's all intrinsically woven into every single thread of the company's DNA. So if Armani were to remain fiercely independent, maybe through a foundation model, the risk there is, diluting the original vision without the founding genius, or potentially struggling to innovate at the pace needed in modern luxury. However, if it were to be acquired by a major conglomerate, while it might gain financial stability, broader market reach, access to massive infrastructure, there's always that danger, isn't there, of losing its distinct identity, of becoming just one more label under a larger umbrella, potentially getting homogenized.
Losing that unique soul you mentioned.
Precisely. We've seen precedents set by other major fashion houses. You think of Chanel after Karl Lagerfeld, where the foundation model seems to have maintained its singular vision quite effectively. Or you look at Gucci's many transformations under different corporate owners and creative directors over the years. Very different path. It's a really high-stakes gamble for such a personal enterprise, and it's truly at the heart of why Armani is trending right now.
Okay, so after exploring this remarkable journey, right from 1975 up to today, and looking at all these intricate conversations swirling around him, what does this all really mean for Giorgio Armani's continued global appeal? Why has his minimalist, tailored aesthetic maintained such profound resonance across so many different cultures? Why does it continue to signify sophistication universally? Because it's not just about what's trendy in Milan or Paris, is it? His elegance translates effortlessly. Boardrooms in New York, red carpets in Tokyo, London, Dubai, it works everywhere. Why has this particular brand of elegance, which is often seen as understated, maintained such broad appeal and influence, reaching so far beyond its Italian roots to become this truly global language of style? It's quite something.
It really is quite something. And what's truly compelling, I think, is that Armani's design philosophy connects to these deeper cultural values that actually transcend fleeting fashion trends. His vision isn't merely about the clothes themselves. It's about making a profound statement of identity, yes, but also of quiet confidence. That minimalist, impeccably tailored aesthetic, it allows the individual wearer to shine through. It doesn't overpower them.
That's a good point.
It's not about being ostentatious or flashy. It's about embodying this innate self-assuredness, a refined personal presence. And this understated power appeals universally because it offers a kind of quiet strength, a subtle sophistication that doesn't need to shout for attention. It speaks to a fundamental human desire, I believe, for integrity, for authenticity, and for control in how one presents oneself to the world. In essence, he created a truly global language of elegance, one that communicates dignity and self-possession, regardless of your cultural background.
That clarifies a lot. Okay, but
Yeah.
in a market that's constantly moving, constantly innovating, how does a brand like Armani possibly balance its core identity, which is so strong, so specific, with the undeniable need to evolve, to stay relevant in this dynamic, ever-changing market? You mentioned earlier the praise for recent collections that managed to balance heritage with subtle innovation. Could you maybe give us a practical example of what that delicate act actually looks like? Because it really does sound like walking a very strategic tightrope.
It is indeed an incredibly strategic tightrope walk.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a masterclass in brand management when done well. So a practical example. Okay, maybe think about a collection that reinterprets classic Armani silhouettes. Let's take the iconic deconstructed blazer again. But maybe they present it in new, unexpected fabrics. Perhaps more sustainable fabrics, importantly. Or they tweak the proportions slightly, make them a bit more fluid, to subtly appeal to a younger, more modern demographic without losing the essence.
Okay, I see.
Or maybe you see a familiar neutral palette, the Armani grays and beiges, but it's infused with unexpected yet still sophisticated accent colors. Or perhaps the integration of subtle digital elements in the marketing, in the presentation, while the garments themselves remain absolutely rooted in that timeless quality. The goal, always, is to avoid radical shifts. You don't want to alienate the established, loyal customer base who love the brand for what it is, but you need to subtly infuse elements that signal relevance, that signal modernity, to new generations, like Gen Z. The ongoing challenge for all luxury brands really is precisely this: adapt to new consumer demands, especially around sustainability, ethical production, inclusivity, without compromising the foundational values and the aesthetic that made them iconic in the first place. It's about evolution, definitely not revolution. Staying true to the core DNA while thoughtfully, carefully expanding their reach.
So, as we kind of wrap up our conversation on this absolute fashion titan, Giorgio Armani, what does his incredible journey, his steadfast vision, his whole multifaceted empire, what does it ultimately tell us about the durability of brand identity in our modern world? What can aspiring brands or maybe even individuals really learn from his story? It really seems to emphasize the immense power of consistency, doesn't it? And having a clear, unwavering vision. That seems key in creating a brand that doesn't just withstand fleeting trends, but truly stands the test of time, becoming this timeless touchstone.
I think his journey offers a truly profound and actually quite actionable lesson. Yes. Armani's enduring success really underscores that in a world of constant, often dizzying change, the durability of a brand identity is fundamentally rooted in clarity, in consistency, and in an uncompromising, almost obsessive commitment to quality. He didn't chase every fleeting trend, did he? Instead, he perfected his own distinct vision. He stayed his course. And his multifaceted empire, stretching from the sartorial right into the hospitality sector, it strengthens that identity. It offers a complete lifestyle experience. And that ensures its longevity by embedding the brand deeply into consumers' lives, not just, hanging in their wardrobes. So for aspiring brands, or really for anyone looking to build a lasting presence in any field, what we can learn from Armani is the power of a single-minded pursuit of a distinct aesthetic, an unwavering commitment to quality, to integrity, and perhaps the courage to stay resolutely true to one's vision even when the world all around you is in constant flux.
It's about building a legacy, isn't it? Building a whole universe, not just building a label.
Building a universe, not just a label. A truly powerful thought to leave us with. Thank you so much for joining us for this really insightful look into the enduring world of Giorgio Armani and the future of his remarkable legacy. And thank you, our listener, for tuning in. Next time on Trending Unpacked, we'll leave the runway behind and shift to a courtroom drama, unpacking the case of Donna Adelson and the shocking headlines surrounding her.